I don't know that that's a good name for it. It's just a name for it.
Well, there we go. Well, we're live now.
We're
Uh,
live.
you're live here with Double Funnel TV. I've got my co-host Scott Schilling, and Friday is for sales. So I'm gonna let kind of Scott take this over today, and he has a great impromptu, I've talked him into presentation for the three absolutes of presenting when your presentation is about selling. That sound
Well,
about right?
it's really presentation about anything, because the reality is that's why it's the three absolutes. They say that there's no absolute in any situation. They're right, except for these three are absolute no matter what you're presenting. But it all starts with, there's some foundational principles that come into play. And so let's set up that first. The number one thing is you've got to be authentic. You've got to be you. I've got to be me. What's that?
This an absolute?
Well, yeah, it's kind of the foundational piece to the absolutes, meaning that you've got to be you. I've got to be me. I can't be you. You can't be me. We can't. We see a lot in the speaking world and in the training world that people tend to mimic somebody else, or they try to be somebody else. They try to be somebody else on stage. They try to be somebody else. You've got to be a product of your product. And what that means very simply is, if you don't use and believe in what you do, why should anybody else? So that's where the authenticity comes in. You've got to be a product of your product and be authentic and really understand. I think that's where, we talk a lot about it in direct sales. All of a sudden you've got people who, and again, you're hearing from a guy who's gained and lost 2,000 pounds in his life. So I'm not judging by any stretch of the imagination, but you get people who get into a company for their own weight loss journey, right?
Okay.
But they might be at that point not the most fit individual, and
Okay.
yet they're espousing what should be done versus what they do themselves and how it's served them, right?
I'm not going to go hire a fitness coach who's 200, 300 pounds.
Overweight.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Overweight. I forget, for a man, that's like 200 is not a big deal.
Yeah, like, that's my left leg. Get on. So, well, no, but what I'm saying is there's got to be an authenticity there. Now, there's nothing wrong with somebody that's not the ideal body structure or body type touting weight loss product, provided they are on the journey, right?
Okay.
So in other words, you can do it, but it's how you do it. You don't sit there, let's say if you're not exactly right-sized yet,
Mm-hmm.
and sit there and say, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because you're incongruent. Understand that communication is a 3-level process. Words are only part of it. Tonality, delivery of the words are part of it, and physiology, the gesturing and the physical appearance behind it are all part of it. So again, if your physiology says you eat a lot of donuts, but your words say this is the best weight loss product in history, those are incongruent things, and physiology, the look, takes dominance over the words. Now, if you match your words and say, well, the reason that I'm presenting this product and the reason that I'm so excited about it is I recognized that I needed to do something different and that I wasn't on the best path. And I saw how this product had worked for so many other people. So I started to take it, and it started working for me. And while I'm not where I want to be, the good news is I'm not where I used to be.
Right.
Now that's a congruent and authentic presentation.
Now I've seen people do that. They look, this is all the people it's worked for, and this I guess comes up more in multi-level marketing or obviously fitness type stuff like a Beachbody, where they're like, look, it's worked for all these people. Here's the results. I'm obviously not, representing right now. Would you like to go on the journey with me?
Yeah, that's an authentic approach. That's my point, is as opposed to saying this is the greatest thing. And again, it's being able to put yourself in their shoes authentically without saying, heck, I don't use this stuff, but boy, you should.
Right.
That's not very authentic, which is why when we started Double Funnel, we moved from another product to Kyvio, right? I mean, it would be inauthentic to sit there and say, hey, everybody should build in Kyvio, and then not build in Kyvio.
Right. If it's fake, that could be a lot of power there. Oh, I think we lost you. We lost you. I was just watching.
No, I'm here the whole time.
Well, you were there. We lost you.
Okay.
I was watching the new season of Shark Tank the other day, and they had Charles Barkley on it, and they were doing this. The guys presenting were like manscaping, like that's the name of the company, and they had this whole little kit for manscaping, and of course there's loads of jokes in it. And he went to like, are you going to be the shark that invests? He's like, I have not manscaped my entire life. It would be inauthentic to me to try to push this product through. Nobody would believe it. But I like that even in investing, whatever it is you're doing, if you can't stand behind it or use it or do it, it just seems wrong. And
you and I have had this conversation. You've got people training speaking that don't speak. I mean, it's so there are people who have never been on stage or have never, they love the idea of it, but they haven't done it themselves. But then they're trying to tell you how to speak. But it's like, until you've been there, until you understand what the process is, until you understand, how people respond to things, it's inauthentic to try to train somebody else how to do it. It just doesn't make any sense.
I just tried to share our little thing here. Yeah. And it kept on saying it cannot be shared at this time. So I seriously just posted it in a group like 4 times.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
I think Facebook is wigging out these days.
You know what? Facebook's under just a little bit of scrutiny these days. I think Mark Zuckerberg is having issues.
I think there are a lot of issues.
They're trying to fix those, and that means I feel like every other day there's something I go into Facebook and something's just a little different.
Yep. So anyway, that's the start. It's you got to be you. I've got to be me. We can't be, we can leverage. That's why, you find people that do this, right? They don't have to have the exact same, but you've got overlapping skill sets, overlapping expertise, overlapping. It makes it complementary, not confrontational, not competitive, but it makes it complementary to work together. So again, it's the same kind of thing. That's where Sean and I have come together with U+1, because while we do similar things and we do a lot of the same things, we do a lot of different things. And I've got I've got areas of expertise he doesn't have. He's got areas of expertise I don't have. He's got relationships I don't have. I've got relationships he doesn't have. But when you put it all together, you expand your reach. But that's being authentic. It's also being authentic is also part of just being real. Be vulnerable. Again, it used to. There are a lot of people that purport themselves, or it's funny because a friend of mine brought this up in an event. He said all of a sudden there are people on the internet who are touting their house in Beverly Hills, which they rent. It's not their house. They rent a house in Beverly Hills, but they have their friends bring over their Lamborghinis and park them out front, so that when they do the live shot, here's a house in Beverly Hills with 2 Lamborghinis.
That's not limited to just people. My own realtor did that for a house showing just a couple months ago. It was a difficult home to sell. It was in a Casa Linda area, which is not like on the edge of some nice areas of town in Dallas. And they were trying to sell it for $750,000. So he intentionally invited very specific realtor friends who had a couple of Lamborghinis, a Ferrari, Land Rover, the house for the open house with all these nice cars.
Yep. Oh, I didn't say it was to any particular.
No, but it just amazes me because then like 2 houses down is a car that's up on a jack and it's missing a wheel.
Well, that's the inauthentic side. So again, it depends. Do you have realtor friends that have those vehicles? Yes, you do, and you've invited them over. Okay, that works. But you see some of it's what just flashed into my head is I know a couple of the people from one of the Housewives of Dallas show. Not that I watch it. My lovely wife watches it. And but I happened to be walking by yesterday as they were watching it. And I know the people, right? And the people I know are they're just who they are, and they let it rip, and they do have they've been very blessed and very fortunate and have a lot of asset and all that kind of stuff. But some of the other stuff that's portrayed there, that's not Dallas. Come on. And so, if you know and it's consistent with the other shows like that too. They build a story that's not exactly.
The precursor to the Real Housewives of Dallas. I actually know the lady who brought the TV producers to try to get the show started in the first place. There was a first run. It was called Big Rich Texas. I had several friends on there as well, and it was amazing to watch how it started. There was a couple of instances where it was the real people. It's unscripted, but in the very beginning, they would put them in inauthentic positions,
right.
Inauthentic places they would never be, right? And then just let it go and see how everything turned out. As they turn up the stress level, right, and things go up, and then you're right, the people then become themselves,
right.
And they take the personalities that are, not that dramatic really, but, they are who they are. And then the reality shows start pressing and exaggerating those pieces.
Exactly.
It's very interesting to watch friends on both shows. In fact, one of my good friends, Willie, just put together a fashion show on the show. That was his production, and it was amazing. But again, you're watching all your friends being paraded out, and you're like, oh, this is a train wreck.
Well, but here's the point and the reason. Let's get back to the point of why no, we're on that point, but I'm just saying why you have to be authentic. Because when you, first of all, should somebody take advantage of what your offer is that you have presented inauthentically, well, then you have to serve them. You have to deliver upon that. Well, they're going to find out it's inauthentic at some point, right? And then that's where cognitive dissonance comes in. Big, heavy word for you get buyer's remorse, right? You now get upset. Your left brain argues with your right brain. I knew I shouldn't have made this deal. I knew I shouldn't have, worked with this person, da, 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 da. Better that they know who you are from the beginning, and therefore do business with the right people, right? Not everybody is designed to do business with everybody. Everybody is designed to do business with somebody, but not everybody. And so better to know who you're going to do that business with. So that's why you have to represent yourself in your presentations authentically. And the next part of that is you have to take the 14-inch journey, and that's the journey from your head to your heart. You've got to drop down to, I don't think sales or presentation particularly, again, this is my take on it,
Yeah.
is an intellectual or tactical process. I think it's a strategic, relational process. Well, tactical is in the head, strategic, relational is in the heart. I want to do business with people because I want to do business with people. I don't want to do business with people because I can take advantage of them. And it's so wild that there's an example of it in the Real Housewives yesterday, the episode that was playing, where one person said, this person latched on to me to do the social climbing they needed until they used that social climbing up. Now they've latched on to somebody to climb further or to climb to a different place. But isn't it interesting that somebody could point that out? And so it's the exact same in business. There's nothing wrong with creating collaborative relationships, but collaborative relationships are to collaborate. That means there is value going in both directions. There's not value only going in one direction. Does that make sense?
It does.
So that's that part. The next foundational piece is you really need to be on purpose. And so as an example, my life purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. So that your life purpose statement becomes your filter. Even way back when we started talking about, well, let's do double funnel TV. Okay, well, let's run it through the filter to inspire and empower others. Yeah, we get to do that every day. That's cool. So that they can live.
I've never heard it as a filter. I like.
You like that?
Well, because one, I get into like geeky things like fish tanks and saltwater tanks where the water is really important, and the idea of filtering is incredibly important, and making sure the right things make it through and the wrong things don't. And then obviously we know lots of people who have zero filter on what comes out of their mouth, right? Or the things that they do. And that really reflects in their actions and the things they say. And you can just look at Twitter or the news these days and see a lot of that going on. But the idea of running it through a filter that is your purpose, that gives you the opportunity to say no to a whole lot and yes to all the right things.
Well, yeah, again, so let's walk double funnel TV through that. To inspire and empower others, yeah, we get to do that. To live their purpose, well, yeah, if we help them get a funnel that gets them to express what they want to do so they can be on purpose. To help me be on purpose, well, yeah, my purpose is to help create that, so that's cool. In spirit, love, and joy. Yeah, so I get to do it with the characteristics I love, to serve people, to do that. So again, the point is that this passes the filter test, right? Using your life purpose statement. Now, somebody comes up to you and says, hey, there's a new bank down the road, really shoddy security, pretty sure we can pull $1 million out of it this afternoon. Well, let me run it through to inspire and empower others. Probably not going to happen that way, so that they can live their purpose. No, I'm pretty sure their purpose isn't to be robbed. So no. Does it really fulfill my purpose? $1 million, a split of that. We could do some things in spirit. well, wait a second, I'm closer to God than I've ever been. No, I'm allergic to lightning. That's not going to work. Love, I don't think stealing people's money really shows them a lot of love. Joy, I might be happy, but it wouldn't put me in joy. No. So that's an extreme example of being able to take something, put it against your life purpose statement, and really use it as that filter. If you think through, my purpose is to help other people be on purpose, so that, again, the short answer, when like at a networking event, somebody says, Scott, what is it you do? Well, the short answer is I help people help people. That's the short answer. Now, how do I do that? A variety of different ways. So again, when you have that life purpose statement, it kind of becomes that guiding course. And one of my mentors that I learned a lot of this portion of the knowledge from, just was adamant about, we're going to be off course far more than we're ever on course. It's not a matter of being off course. It's a matter of being off course less often for less duration. It's the example that I give in live trainings is, you board a plane here in Dallas headed for Maui, and you don't hear the pilot come on and go, ladies and gentlemen, we've been buffeted by southerly trade winds. Welcome to your vacation in Alaska. The southern winds are pushing you towards Alaska the entire flight. But what does the captain have to do? They have to course correct back to the south to fight against the winds that are blowing them to the north. It's not a matter of being off course. It's a matter of being off course for less duration, for less length of time, and less far, right? So we're going to zigzag in our business. That's why I love what you coined here in Double Funnel TV. Done is the new perfect. That's an example of, okay.
I feel like I need to turn that into a meme that we can publish.
Well, I really think, because it's interesting, I've used that a number of times, either in trainings or in conversations with some fairly influential folks, and they've gone, damn, that's brilliant. So I think it should be a meme, actually, because it is people many times feel that the human condition only has given us two responses to things, and that those responses are fight or flight. I'm going to fight against this, or I'm going to fly away from it. But actually, there are three: fight, flight, and freeze. And the reality,
freeze is the worst.
And freeze is the worst.
That's how deers die.
Exactly. Exactly. If we get into freeze, that means we don't do anything. If we don't do anything, we can't get any feedback. If we can't get any feedback, we don't get out of not doing anything. I mean, we've got to, that's a little poofy. I mean, that's, I can't. That's
poofy? Oh, no, this was for Rayanne. We were working on a client one day.
Okay. Did you see I announced the 24 days of Christmas starting tomorrow?
I did.
Now I got to do it. Anyway, it's going to be fun. But the point is that freeze is a far more destructive place than either fight or flight. Because if I am in action, I can gain feedback. The only way I can find out something works is to take an action. The only way I can find out something doesn't work is to take an action. Now, if other people can give you guidance along the way and suggest, hey, that may not be a great action. Okay, well, don't take the most dramatic action you can possibly take to find out everything all the time, but do it slightly differently. you know. And so again, I think that done is the new perfect is an example of, you're kind of saying, I know it's not perfect, but we have a place to now move from there, right?
That's fair enough.
And so I think that that's the key.
Now, can I ask you a question? Because we kind of went
Sure.
on done is perfect. How does done is the new perfect relate back to being on purpose?
Well, because I think sometimes not sometimes, I think a lot of times people don't know what their purpose is. And so they're even struggling to find what that purpose is. Well, the only way that you're going to find what that purpose is to take an action. And so to a certain extent, that's how it relates. But once you have your, my life purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. Nowhere in there does it say to inspire and empower others perfectly from the second that you, right?
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to that life purpose statement. It's to inspire others to live their purpose, to train them, to get them to think differently, to get them to expand their horizons. That's the different part of it. So I think that's how it relates back to purpose. And I don't think, I'm trying to think through all the life purpose statements I've ever heard. I don't know anybody who has put the word perfect in their life purpose statement. Because everything's a journey.
I know some women who do.
Sam, that would be interesting, but I'm just saying.
And the other word that they use that I'm not quite sure, they use the word like perfectly balanced. Like, do it all. I'm like, girl, you can have it all. You can't do it all. But I think there's a lot of women, and I think right now, and the reason I say it like really in this moment is because it's about to be December 1st. And women really bring the magic to Christmas, right? There's a lot, especially on moms.
Right.
Santa is mom. Mom was like decorating the tree and making the food and baking the food and taking care of everyone and creating all this magic for everyone in the family and trying to do it all while having a job and doing the dishes and maintaining the house. And that is part of their mission, is this perfection and balance. And it drives them crazy to the point, and this was my mom, that they're actually like yelling at the people they love and care about because they're so stressed out.
Well, and
so I think a big part of that is I had to take the perfect out because I was the child of someone who wanted to be perfect, who wanted to, as you said, like be authentic. She wanted to present herself maybe as a higher level than she was. And in doing all that stuff, it just made life miserable.
Well, if I understand history at all, there's only one person in theory that was ever perfect. And yet that one person had a whole bunch of negative stuff happen. So that wasn't so perfect. So even if you could achieve, which you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot achieve perfection. You can strive for it. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think you can achieve it. But you're not in control of all the outside activities that you come through in your life, right? There are things brought to you and through you that you don't have control of. So you can work to have quality responses to imperfect situations. You can do a variety of things like that. But as far as true perfection. You can do it right. You can do it really great.
Yeah.
I mean, good to great is all about, don't let the good get in the way of the great. So it's the next step, but it's not, the book isn't good to perfect.
No.
It's good to
I had
great.
a junior league. One of the girls in my junior league in Dallas, she was giving a speech, and she was talking about the majority of the time, it just needs to be 80%. Get it to 80% done, 80% perfect, right? And that is good enough. And that's going to be the majority of your time, just that kind of that 80-20 rule, right? And she's like, every now and then, the job will call for 100%, and that's fine. Just recognize that not all of your work can be perfect. The majority, 80% of everything can be at 80% good. Only a very small percentage needs to be at that perfect level, and you really need to pick and choose what really needs to be perfect. And that way you can allocate resources appropriately.
And I think probably what just came to me intuitively as you're saying that is, as opposed to the word perfect, it's strive for excellence. Excellence is the top, is probably the next quote unquote step down from perfect. But in essence, it is the top level available, right? So it's strive for excellence in everything you do. Do it the very best you possibly can. Understand that everything that you're doing is a snapshot in time. I'm sure everybody who will ever watch this will recognize at some point when things did not appear to be overly spiffy in their life, that only was a season in time. That was only a little piece of the entire block of their life, right? And so you can strive for excellence in everything you do, work to make it the best you possibly can. I don't think anybody purposely does not try to be good. I don't think anybody wakes up and says, I'm just going to really suck today.
I think this is where I get so much trouble with politics. I honestly believe every single person on the planet, including Hitler, had the best intentions and wanted to be good. You may not like their methods and you may not agree with what they agree is good, but people, I think, really want to be good. It may not be good. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think it's true because I was in one of those conversations this morning about the economy and how certain things are turning around and how certain things have turned around and whatever. And it's like, yeah, but couldn't that message be communicated better? Oh, hell yes. There's not a doubt about that fact. I mean, I think anybody would say that. As an example, Gary Vaynerchuk. Have you ever seen him on stage? Have you ever seen him live?
Not live. He's never been such a tool where I felt like I needed to be live. Okay.
Well, so did an event back in May with him, and I've never heard anybody drop more F-bombs from stage than he has.
I could beat him there. I promise you.
No, I don't think you could. I don't think you could.
Oh, we used to, in the military, we had one guy we actually used to mock because every other word out of his mouth was an F-bomb. And we were trying to show that before the internet, that the F-bomb could be used in every format of grammar in the American language. It could be a verb, it can be a noun, everything. When I speak to veterans, that's when they come out because I don't have to filter it.
Right. No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, many people would say that that's, it's whatever. They've got some kind of opinion on it. The point is, that's his authenticity. Is it everybody else's? No, it's actually very few people else's, right? But I mean, that's authentically him. It is not a style that I am comfortable with by any stretch of the imagination from stage. And so again, here's what was funny about that. I guess going back to the authenticity part, there was then a speaker that followed him that all of a sudden, I am sure well, I'm not sure, but I don't believe that this guy regularly puts the F-bomb in his presentation. But because Gary did, he did. And it was like, wow, it was just uncomfortable. It's like when Gary says it, he says it so often you don't even hear it. But when this other guy said it, it was like, whoa.
It rolls off your tongue. Like I told my veterans the last time I spoke up at one of the VBOC Veterans Business Operations Center, their big event last year. And I told my audience, I was like, I'm hungry. I didn't get enough coffee because I was the first one speaking. And I was like, this is going to happen two ways. I was like, there's no way an F-bomb is not going to roll off my mouth. And if there's a problem with that, you can go ahead, exit stage left. This is not for you. And to be honest, and where I can see where he comes from, if I have to take the F-bomb out, I'm not going to be speaking as passionately. Like, so I told him especially, it's like if I'm going off the cuff and it's question answer period, that's when it's especially going to roll off. And if you want me to tone it back, so does the passion and the authenticity.
Yeah, and that's it. All of that is a total possibility, and it's a determination of if you're comfortable with it and truly authentic with it. Yeah. So again, not to get carried away on the point, but it's not my style. It's not the way that I would respond. And I guess I've learned to not say those things. And so when I do, it's not like I never utter the words or things like that. It's like somebody goes, whoa, wow, there's a real juxtaposition there, right? Because it's like anything. If you say anything too much, it's blah, 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 blah. It's just whatever. Anyway, and it's interesting that you said because the last foundational piece before we get into those three absolutes is that you've got to express your passion. If you're not passionate about what you do, I'm passionate about training people. I'm passionate about helping people improve their lives. It was so funny because about 8:30 last night, Sean and I got on a phone call. Yesterday was an awesome day. I mean, a crazy day, but an awesome day. There was so much good stuff that happened. But basically, I was on the phone or in meetings or stuff all day. And crazy good meetings. I mean, not bad. So Sean goes, about 8:30 last night, I called and I said, yeah, I know that I committed that I would call you and kind of debrief some of these calls. Man, what an awesome day. And he goes, dude, you need to learn how to change your presentation because that doesn't sound very awesome to me.
Oh.
and it was so funny because I did it in the tone that I did it in the tone that I did it with him, but he heard it in the tone, right? And I said, I'm sorry, I'm just tired. It's just been an awesome day, but I'm tired. And he goes, well, good, then put a little enthusiasm into telling me you're tired, So
Aww.
it's funny, but that's what it really comes down to is your passion does drive a tremendous amount of that tone and activity and physiology, right? So all those are the foundational pieces. So what are the three absolutes? And they're absolute in any situation. The first absolute is that WIIFT. What's in it for them?
What's
Many,
in it
for
for them?
them. WIIFT. What's in it for them? You've got to start everything, every thought, every consideration, everything you do with what's in it for them. Why do they even want to hear this piece of information? Why does anybody want to hear this training? Why is double funnel TV valuable? Why is learning about creating a landing page valuable? Why is the business growth network valuable? Right? What's in it for them? What are they going to get out of this? Because people take actions for their reasons, not for your reasons. So you're sitting there trying to understand, why would we do this? It was really interesting because we were sitting with the CEO of a company the other day, and we did his first Facebook Live ever with him.
Wow.
And that's what we said. We said, you've never done a Facebook Live? He goes, never. And so we do the Facebook Live, and we got all the way up to 2 people watching live.
All the way up, right?
All the way up. And he's like, so we finish, and all of a sudden he goes, oh, that was a failure.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, it can be, the first one can be a little harsh, especially if you're doing it on a business page where you don't get that notification. Like personal ones do significantly better, but they're on your personal page. And they don't understand. Sometimes it's just about putting yourself first out there. And if you had 1,000 viewers your first time, it would be so nerve-wracking, right? But it's about what you can do afterwards. You've now created a video that is absolutely out there and shareable. And here's the magic part that I love. There's no editing.
Right.
All the work's already been done.
Right. And that was, so anyway, the whole thing was, but we only had 2 people. I mean, how good could that possibly be? And we actually called him later in the day and said, did you see how many views we have? And he goes, no, we only had 2 people live. And we said, that wasn't what we asked you. Have you seen the number of views? He said, no. I said, well, we're up to 136. He goes, what? I said, 136 people have now seen this. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh. And all of a sudden it was like a switch flipped in his brain. So again, you got to come from a what's in it for them. It wasn't, he was worried about what was in it for him. Did anybody see it right then and there? Oh my God, how did I look? Was my hair right? Did I, it's like, really? Versus what's in it for them? It's like my signature in my email says, please let me know how I can be of service. Okay. People sit there and it was so funny. I had a guy one time send me a message back. And he said, so I was reading your signature. Please let me know how I could be of service. All I want to know is, what do you want from me? And I said, what do you mean? What do I want from you? And he goes, well, why are you making that offer? I'm making that offer because I'm in control of the offers I make. And my offer is, please let me know how I can be of service to you. You don't read anything else into it, right? I can't impress upon you that I'm willing to serve you if I don't express to you I'm willing to serve you.
Right.
Now whether you choose to take advantage of that or not is a totally different thing. And so there's no ulterior motive other than people do, which takes us into the second absolute. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. And if I don't know you, I don't like you. That has to be the assumption. I mean, I'm not trying to be harsh, but if I don't know you, I don't like you because I don't know you. It's not that I won't like you. I just don't, because I don't know you. But in order to do business with you, I have to trust you. And I can't trust you if I don't know and like you? It's not possible. You don't trust people that you don't know or don't like. And so
Yep.
that's where inflammatory language or stomping on somebody's sensibilities, or we've become so politically correct in this country that we're so politically correct, nobody can say anything to anybody about anything. You know, one of my friends said it at an event about a year ago. She said, learn to become unoffendable. It's like that was another one done is the new perfect. It's a brilliant statement, right? Learn to become unoffendable. I actually said it the other day in the training, Monday, when boy, is that Monday? Man, it seems like 100 years ago, doesn't it?
I was shocked it was Friday. I thought it was Thursday.
Man, there's a lot's been happening. Anyway, but the point is, it's not what anybody says to you that counts. It's how you take what they say and then what you say about what they say that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so you made a statement earlier. You mentioned the H word, right? And, you know, as we were discussing it, I had this conversation with a congressman one time as we were discussing, obviously it was a congressman, so we were discussing politics. And he said, yeah, novel concept, right? And he said, understand the things that you're hearing from this person, they truly believe is the right path. They truly believe that.
Yep.
And I went, I don't know that I've ever thought of it that way. And he said, that's our issue. And so that was a big eye opener to me to understand. And so now I actually put it in a number of trainings. I don't think anybody purposefully is so calculated that they say everything they ever say for shock value. They might say some things, but I don't think they necessarily say everything, right?
So I can keep track. We have what's in it for them. That's number one. What's number two?
People do business with those they know, like, and trust. And so you have to gain trust. And this is where...
Do you add respect on that?
Well, yeah, actually what I want to have happen is I want you to get to know me, like me, and trust me so much that actually that turns into respect, love, and think you hung the moon.
Hung the moon?
Well, just think of that you're that awesome, right? I want to create a relationship to the depths where somebody just, man, I think you hung the moon. I think you've done it. You are so freaking awesome, right? It was actually funny. Hung the moon in Canada is an expression for lowering your back window and sticking your butt out and mooning people.
Oh, hello.
So I actually did this in a presentation. I said, we want to get you to know, like, and trust us, but ultimately we want to get you to know, like, and trust us so much that we want you to respect, love, and think you hung the moon. And all of a sudden the audience erupts in laughter. And I'm like, well, that's the most unique response I've ever gotten to that piece of training, right? And then somebody explained it to me afterwards. You just told everybody that you want everybody to know you for hanging your butt out the car window. And I said, no, I didn't know that. So yes, what we ultimately want, respect, honor, and dignity in everything we do. But in order to get respect, honor, and dignity, we have to give respect, honor, and dignity. And that's why you being a veteran, the fact that we're not honoring our veterans for their sacrifice and for what they've done, and the realization, I just happen to be of an age that I kind of missed the slots right? There are certain times where there's more mandatory engagement than others. Well, I kind of grew through those periods like that. So I've never been in the military, which is why I thoroughly respect anybody who has been, who has sacrificed what they've sacrificed in our behalf. If we don't give them the dignity due and we don't give people the respect they're due for that, that's a true mistake, because they've done it in your behalf. They've done it for you, right?
Yeah.
You've done it for me, and I appreciate that. But that comes through in the exact same way in how we, in our presentations, we need to get people to know, like, and trust us, but we really want to have mutual respect, dignity, and honor in those situations. Does that make sense? That's where we, and then number 3 is people take action when they're ready, not when you're ready. And this is the most forgotten one. This is the one that we don't plan for typically, unless we recognize this, because the fact is that people do things for their reasons, not for my reasons, not for your reasons, right? So this is where the adage that today's activity does not determine today's volume. Today's activity determines our volume 30, 60, 90 days from now. Today's volume was determined by what we did 30, 60, 90 days ago. If you're not doing enough business today, it's typically not because of what you're doing or not doing today. It's what you didn't do 30, 60, 90 days ago. So if you really honor this point, a number of things change in your business. Number 1, today is your first day is your worst day. The worst day of your business is today if you make the decision that you're going to make your business better today. Yep. And then tomorrow becomes your worst day, but it's better than today because you learned from today, you put that into action tomorrow. So the second day is better than the first day, but it's still the worst day to come. Meaning, and that's not to be said to discourage anybody, it's actually to encourage everybody, that every day should build upon itself. Like I said, yesterday was an awesome day. There was indications of deals closing, massive deals closing on multiple fronts. But it wasn't necessarily because of what happened yesterday. It's about all the groundwork and legwork and everything that's happened over the last 30, 60, 90 days. Here's where some of us more mature, that's actually code word for old, some of us more mature folks have an advantage is we understand 2 principles: delayed gratification and laying the effort out front. So we live in an immediate gratification, me, now society that has been created by these things. Oh my God, everything is at the tip of my fingers, except the conversation with the other person is not. That happened 30 days ago, or that happened 60 days ago, or whatever. The point is that people take action when they're ready. And what happens is if you haven't built trust and you force them to take an action today, you might get a sale, but you will also lose trust. And if you have to have trust to do more business, you have now limited future business. So I can force anybody to take an action immediately. That's not the issue. The issue is what happens if I do that. And it's the fallout from that. And that's where many of the less experienced salespeople, and they're so trying to force business today that they're actually costing themselves their future. So if we understand that people take action when they're ready, that just means increase your activity talk to more people, do more stuff. But that's work. That's exactly it. That's why they call it network marketing. They don't call it net sit on your butt marketing. They don't call it net don't talk to anybody marketing. There's work. And so now, can we make work fun? Yeah, this is work for you and I, but it's fun.
It's fun. And somebody was asking me why I do it. And I was like, look, I get to help everybody. I get to create a ton of content and outdo my competition. And if I'm being really honest, all I'm doing is drinking coffee and playing on Facebook anyway. It's not a productive hour. So now I get to turn an unproductive hour into a productive hour.
Well, and think about this. This was an hour of training for everybody, right? And it was a conversation that I'm sure you took a nugget or two from. It's a conversation I've took a nugget or two from. It helps me as a trainer get different takes on different things. If somebody asks a question, normally we have Randy in here commenting on it. Today we didn't, right? Or we have some people after the fact that comment on it, right? But the point is that again, if we understand these absolutes, what's in it for them? We got to put ourselves in their shoes. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. If I don't know you, I don't like you. If I don't like you, I don't trust you. But I have to trust you to have ongoing business with you. And people take action when they're ready. That should encourage you to say, whatever's happening today is whatever's happening today. If I don't like what's happening today, I've got to do something to modify, which means I probably have to take more activities. It's even like when we started double funnel TV. Will it work? No clue. Who knows? Will anybody ever see it? No clue. Don't know. What did we have to do? You have to go do it. It's all you can do. And so, again, if you front load your activity, that's why you've got to just be in action. You can't sit there and go, oh, I'm gonna meditate and everything's just gonna drop in. That's where people got the secret wrong. The secret was feeling the book, The Secret, was they felt like, oh, all I could do is think about abundance and it would show up. The book didn't say that. The book said you have to think about abundant, you have to live abundantly, you have to come from that space, and then take the actions that are consistent with that. You've got to take the actions, and unfortunately, because we live in this immediate gratification society, people say, well, I made 3 phone calls today and nothing changed. My God, it was 3 phone calls. Now, if you say I made 300 phone calls today and nothing changed, then you got a bad list. But if you talk to enough people, something good is going to happen. It's just the way business works.
Okay.
What's that?
Something will happen. So let me see if I can kind of wrap this up. So you had 3 absolutes, and I got confused because we were talking about the foundation. So there's kind of like 2 foundational pieces and 3 absolutes. So we had the 2 foundations were authenticity and purpose, which I think are wonderful. And then we had the 3 absolutes that sit on top of that foundation, that what's in it for them, always tailoring what you're discussing or selling or whatever it is you're doing to the actual person that you're working with.
Right.
The know, like, and trust, and hung it by the moon or your butt out the car or whatever. And then that third one, which was people do things on their time, not your time.
Right.
That sums it up pretty good.
It does sum it up. And what's funny is people go, oh, I know all this. Well, you obviously don't know all this, or you're not acting on this, because if you knew all this, then you wouldn't say some of the things you're saying. See, scarcity on direct marketing, right, on digital marketing, scarcity is to get them to take an action earlier. But it has to be legitimate scarcity, because otherwise you make them take an action that they may resent. So there's a skill of moving them down their timeline. People take action when they're ready. Scarcity helps them be ready faster.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a prime example of Why? Now, scarcity can't be trickery, because then you'll get one sale and one sale only. Scarcity has to be real. You know, that's what, if that's what Black Friday is all about. I only have 10 of these. If you only have 10, you only have 10. That's true scarcity, right?
Scarcity has to be real. I might have to sit on that one because I've seen it be so effective so many times, even on me, and I didn't feel bitter about it. Like once you learn the trick, even. I don't like fake scarcity necessarily, but there are a lot of times I've seen scarcity work to the benefit of the company and the people. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but that's true scarcity. I mean, that's.
I mean, even perceived scarcity, so it's not real. So I mean, that is the very basic of like a. And sometimes the scarcity, the fake scarcity can be real in that the person just doesn't know when they're going to take it down.
They don't know.
There's so many spots out there.
Yeah.
It works by your IP address in your browser, depending on what kind of program you're using. So it'll say, like, let's say you download a free PDF or whatever that lead magnet is, and the entry point offer, previously known as a tripwire, was, hey, for if you get this in the next 3 hours for $7 versus $49 or whatever, that is. And the countdown clocker, as long as you're on the same device, represents that and takes it away. But if you use a new one, then it's different. But it does get people to jump on board quickly because sometimes people are very indecisive and they want to think about it too much. Well,
but again, you said there still has to be a change. So if you were from this IP address, it did go away. Now, could you find it again on another IP address? Possibly. That's still scarce. I mean, that's still legitimate scarcity. I mean, on your IP address, it went away. So I understand so as an example, we used to say from stage, if you don't take advantage of this by the time we leave Thursday, by the time we're done with our last presentation Thursday night, all the paperwork has to be finalized or this pricing is not honored.
Yep.
Absolute true statement. Now, were we back in that town 90 days from then? Yes. And could they get it 90 days from then? Yes, but they'd have to wait 90 days. Could they call in the next day and get that price? Absolutely not. Our scarcity was legitimate scarcity. When we were done at the end of that period, whatever we announced was the end, was the end. And that was unfortunately what hurt many people is they'd say, oh, in order to get this price, you have to take advantage of it right now. And then the home office would call them 2 weeks later and say, oh, we noticed you were at the event. Would you like that price or better? Man, you delegitimized everything that you did. When you do that, you get known for doing that, you got a serious problem.
No, we had someone do that at one of ours, and it happened to be Randy, speaking of Randy, and he had already bought something at a much higher rate, told that he was getting the best deal, and the guy came in and the audience was not responding, and so he kept dropping the price and increasing the offer, and then he was like, oh, 2 for 1, buy it now and I'll give you 2 for that price. And there's Randy just in the corner going.
Exactly. Well, and that's my point, is it's not authentic, it's not real, it's not any of that stuff. And so again, if you're going to run your business with quality, with class, with dignity, with honor, how is that honoring somebody if all of a sudden you say, well, this is it? No, really, this time, this is it.
No, this one's it. Macy's got sued for that. In case you ever wonder, like, you can actually get in like legit legal trouble.
Yes.
Macy's now has to publish inside of all their sales flyers in the last, I want to say 180 days or 120 days, the previous lowest sale price used.
Right.
So not ever, but at least the previous like so many days behind, because they kept on saying, oh, this is the best price. This is the best price, never again. And it was like, no, this is every other Friday, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how you get in trouble. So anyway,
It is 10:06.
Was this a helpful training, Jena?
I think it was for those who watched and listened. The other thing is, I think, like you mentioned, every time we do something like this, I think it starts to hone it. So I can say, like, the one thing that's confusing is understanding the difference between the 2 foundational pieces versus the 3 absolutes.
Yeah.
But it's like a doctor using a checklist in surgery. Does he know how to do the brain surgery? Yes. Does having a checklist to make sure all 3 sponges were removed from the dude's brain help? Yes, it does. And it prevents. It does. The amount of surgery-related, I can't remember the bad things happening during surgery, decreased statistically significantly after the doctors started using checklists. And doctors were they didn't want to use them. They were like, we know how to do this. But the moment another doctor said, no, just try it and just calculate the statistics, it was mind-blowing to even the doctors. So now it is standard operating procedure for doctors at the highest education level doing brain surgery, heart surgery, anything, to use a basic checklist about the fundamentals. Well, because fundamentals is where we end up forgetting when we get into the higher levels. We forget the fundamentals.
Think about an airline pilot going through a pre-flight checklist. I mean, this guy's got thousands of hours in the cockpit, and yet they go through a pre-flight checklist every time. So that's really kind of what selling is too. It's presentation is the exact same way. You can review every presentation you've ever made and notice where you could improve.
Yep.
So agreed. Awesome.
Alrighty. Well, let's wrap everything up. And I think our goal for this weekend should be to make sure that we have an entry for Double Funnel TV and an exit, because we don't have one, and I'm starting to notice it. But the whole goal of Double Funnel TV here is to ensure that you can start doubling your funnels, doubling your revenue, doubling your business. And we're going to be doing that through building funnels, building basic websites if you don't have one, making sure you have email sequences, and you can even get into social, which we've already done too, and all the different techniques and the sales techniques that Scott here is bringing to the table. Whatever it takes to double your business, that's what we're going to be bringing to the table and actually showing it to you. And if you need that help, if you want a website, if you want a funnel built for you for free, there's just a couple caveats, and the big one is you have to use the platforms we use, because that's what I work on, and you have to be a member of Business Growth Network, which is like nothing. It's consulting and with a bunch of people, a bunch of professionals who know what they're doing, and it's only $17 a month. So if you want it, doublefunnel.tv and tune in every morning from 9 to 10 CST time. Yep.
Awesome.
So many words. Okay. Bye, guys. I'm going to run off. I got to get to my office. All right. Bye.
Me too. Oh, wait. I'm in the office. Bye.
Oh.